Hey guys, in this video I will be discussing 9 myths and misconceptions about Boston. Stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Andrew Junas. I'm a local realtor right here in the Boston metro area, and I love helping people find their ideal place to live. So if you are thinking about moving to the Boston area, please drop me a line, call, text, email, shout it from the rooftops. I will be here and ready to help whenever you are. And please remember to hit the subscribe button and then click the little bell below so you get notified anytime I do a new video. And I will be doing at least one new video a week, all about Boston, the surrounding areas, the good, the bad, the ugly, some really cool stuff. All right, guys, so like I said, in this video, we are talking about 9 myths and misconceptions about Boston. And first on the list is Bostonians calling Boston Beantown, right? Nobody from here calls it that. In fact, it's a surefire giveaway that you are not from this region if you call it that. Back in the day, back in the Pilgrims' times, beans may have been a staple food, and maybe they were proud of it being associated with the region. But today, we don't celebrate baked beans in any way, and we certainly don't consider that to be some regional culinary delight that is somehow part of our heritage here. So anyways, just call Boston, Boston. All right, myth number 2 is that Bostonians are terrible drivers. And listen, we've had tons of construction going on over the last 25, 30 years with the big dig and just the constant development, and the original planning of the streets were intended for horses and cows and certainly not cars, so it adds another element to the logjam. So I think you'd be pretty grumpy in general if you had to go through all the traffic that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Having said that, there was a GMAC insurance survey that was done that ranked Boston and Massachusetts, I guess in general, ahead of drivers from New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island in terms of driver knowledge. So the fact that we're terrible drivers just isn't true. Now, are you going to get stuck behind that person going 40 in a 55 with their right blinker on for the last 2 miles? Yeah, that's going to happen. Are you going to get cut off by that guy swerving in and out of lanes that is just, cutting everybody off left and right? Yeah, probably. But you know what? You're going to find those drivers anywhere. All right, myth number 3, or this is really more of a misconception, is the Bullfinch Pub that the TV show Cheers was modeled after looks nothing like the set of the TV show. You're going to be sorely disappointed if you go there, right? It's more of a tourist trap, right? And they have tons of souvenirs, so you can certainly buy stuff that looks like the TV show, but going in there, you're not going to see any association other than the souvenirs as to what the TV show Cheers was. So I'd say, if you're not into disappointments or if you're pressed for time to see stuff, this is one that I would put on the list to skip. All right, so myth number 5 is that everybody from Boston has a Boston accent, right? And you think to all the TV and movie shows that are done about us, and you think that we were all a bunch of art-dropping Irishmen, right? Think about a movie like The Departed, and just some of the accents in there were so bad, like Martin Sheen, right? He talked like this all the time, like, what are we doing? And it's like, dude, we just don't speak that way, right? For sure, you can go to certain parts of Boston, and in one home, you can hear a nice, thick, rich Boston accent. Go to the house next door, and you can hear no discernible accent, or an accent from another country for all that matter. 27% of Bostonians are born outside of the city or outside of the state. So it's like we have a good mix of people. So wherever you are in Boston, you're not necessarily going to be hearing a Boston accent. So again, going back to TVs and movies, I think they would just do such a better service to the area if they produced people who spoke like me, who was from the area, right? I mean, I think my mom is from Montreal, my dad is from Baltimore. They've lived in the area for 40 plus years, and they didn't pick up an accent. It wasn't something that was infectious, and it's just not pervasive. You don't find it everywhere. All right, so myth number 6 is that Boston is home to loud and obnoxious sports fans. And we for sure have had a lot of success over the last 20 years, like 12 championships for all our major sports teams combined. And that may have bred to a little bit of confidence in the teams that we follow. But I think that we are just such a passionate base of fans here that really what you're seeing more is that passion than obnoxiousness. And if you're talking obnoxious alcohol, really that you can find that combination almost anywhere, right? Not just here in Boston. I just think we follow our teams and we care for them deeply, and so that's going to come through in a more vocal fan base. I really do think our sports teams are an important part of our culture here in Boston. I remember in 2007, 2008, I was living in Denver, and that was the year the Patriots had that undefeated season going all the way to the Super Bowl. And, from a fan's perspective, it was a ton of fun going out to the bars and watching the team just run over all the opponents. I mean, there was definitely a bit of superiority feeling that was built up as that was going on, but then the Super Bowl came, and that was an extremely humbling experience, right? So I think fans here know how the fall can come hard and fast like it did in that game. So again, I just don't think that, I think it's more of a passion than it is anything else. All right, myth number 7 is that Boston has an inferiority complex when it comes to New York. And honestly, this never comes up with anyone that I'm ever talking to, right? Most Bostonians I know love New York. I love New York. We love going to New York for long weekends and having tons of fun, and then we're happy to come back here and call Boston our home. I don't think there's anything really we feel that's so lacking here that we're looking to New York and that we're envious of it. Maybe the bars that are open all night would be nice to have, and the 24-hour transit. But, overall, it's just like I said, it just never comes up. Now, I will say, as a sports fan, prior to 2004, I think that a Red Sox fan definitely had an inferiority complex to a Yankees fan, because it was just, we were always the also-rans, right? So I think there was definitely some of that going on, but then 2004 changed all that. All right, myth number 8 is that we take our sports championships for granted. And this one is really frustrating to hear, especially if you're of a certain age like I am, because there were long periods of time where we were going through not only a championship drought, but just quality team drought, right? It was just hard to even watch the teams. And again, for a city, I think that really has the sports teams built into its culture, it's hard to go through, teams and years like that where they are just awful. So, once 2000 hit and didn't realize the successful run we were going to be on of 12 championships, I think that we savor each one and relish it, and know that it doesn't last forever. And as we've seen, Tom Brady left, and all of a sudden the Patriots are kind of back to sucking again, right? So I think that we are very appreciative of each and every championship we have. We don't take any of them for granted. Growing up, being a fan of the Red Sox, we got so used to saying wait till next year, it kind of came like the joke that you would see in the fall time, because no matter how good the Red Sox were, you just expected something to go wrong. All right, so myth number 9 has to do with the Boston Tea Party. So when the colonists dumped the tea into the harbor, it was thought that galvanized all the colonists to revolt against the British. And it was really seen as a controversial act at the time, right? People weren't sure if it was the right move to make. Newspaper articles were written questioning whether or not it was the correct decision. Ben Franklin, who was representing us in Congress in London, was making the suggestion that we should be paying back the East India Tea Company, as it was actually their tea and not the British's tea. And it's just an example of how, actions throughout history are messy, and it's not like one action leads to some kind of a simple outcome, right? It's a bit messier than that. All right, so myth number 10 is that Bostonians are rude and unfriendly. And I don't know, I've lived here for my whole life except one year when I was out in Denver, and there's definitely more of an open friendliness in Denver versus here. But so I feel like we have a tougher exterior, like a harder shell to crack. But I feel once you sort of get beyond that, we're as friendly and warm and welcoming as anyone you'll meet anywhere else. It's just that we have this harder exterior that you have to get through first. All right, guys, like I said, my name is Andrew Junas, and I'm a local realtor right here in the Boston metro area. And I love helping people find their ideal place to live. So if you are thinking about moving here, please drop me a line, call, text, email, shout it from the rooftops. I'll be here and ready to help whenever you are. And please remember to hit that subscribe button and then click the little bell to get notified for whenever I do a new video. And then we'll be doing at least one new video a week, all about Boston, the good, bad, the ugly, some really cool stuff. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was all helpful. And until next time, take care.